Thanks, Brandis. Earlier in the program, we discussed the massive infrastructure proposal, and we're now joined again by Representatives Mike Quigley, Raja Krishnamoorthi, and Rodney Davis. Congressman, thanks again for being here. Another tragic event on Friday at the U.S. Capitol, an attack that resulted in the death of another Capitol police officer. What does this do to the security situation, Congressman Quigley, at the Capitol? Will there have to be a permanent barrier?
Well, I think there needs to be a barrier. I think it can be mobile depending on the need, but I think we have to reassess that. Look, I was in the room where it happened on January 6th, and sitting in that room that day, I think we all knew at least some of what we needed. A fast response team, better coordination, communication, clearly better intelligence, and a larger, better equipped, frankly, better trained police force. But for now, our thoughts are with the family of yet another officer we've lost.
And Congressman Davis, these are unfortunate events, unfortunate images out of the state capitol with all this security. Where is the balance going to be between security and public accessibility to these public buildings?
Well, I think General Honore and his team put together a very good report. Many of the recommendations were recommendations that I personally talked to him and his team about. My position as the ranking member on House Administration, we have oversight responsibility of the Capitol Police. And I had a conversation today with the Inspector General of the Capitol Police. He has offered some suggestions. He's offered some reports. We have to make sure that what we saw on January 6th never happens again, and what we saw Friday never happens again. Frankly, I think the fencing has somewhat exposed our National Guardsmen and women and also our Capitol Police officers, because most of the time without that fencing up at the barriers where we saw the tragedy happen on Friday, those officers are standing behind the barriers that stop the vehicle from entering into the Capitol complex. They work, those barriers worked. So we've got to have a discussion, a bipartisan discussion on how to make our police force operate in a better, more efficient way, make sure there's training, as Mike said, but also we have to have better intelligence analysts, and we have to make sure that intelligence that comes through to the Cap Police gets acted upon. Those are the things I'm going to be pushing. And let's not forget, I mean, I'm here on this earth because the brave Capitol Police officers ran toward gunfire as I and my friends ran away from it on a baseball field.
And part of getting to the bottom of what happened on January 6th, even though there is a massive FBI investigation, is a commission put together by Congress, but that's been on hold for a while. Congressman Krishnamoorthi, is the idea of a January 6th commission dead at this point?
No, I don't think so. I think that it's still subject to negotiations, but I'd like to add one other thing that we didn't mention, which is that the Capitol Police are vastly understaffed right now. Even by conservative estimates, they have about 232 open positions. Lieutenant General Honore recommended that we add at least 900 Capitol Police officers. Whichever estimate you buy into, they need hundreds of additional officers. Right now, they are overworked. They're utilizing tremendous amounts of overtime. They're just not in the fighting shape that we need them to be should another insurrection or threat develop. And so we have to appropriate money to them right away to hire the additional police officers and personnel, and of course address that intelligence deficiency that Congressman Davis raised a moment ago. Because if we don't, we're just inviting more threats to develop.
All right, well, while this is happening, there's a national debate right now over voter restriction laws as corporate America, including Major League Baseball, is reacting to the new law in Georgia. Take a look.
This is much bigger than Georgia. According to the Brennan Center, as of March 24th, 361 bills with restrictive provisions have been introduced in 47 states.
Is this the biggest power grab since I've been in Congress? It will take away every state's ability to run free and fair elections.
Congressman Davis, a lot of Republicans upset over Major League Baseball's decision to relocate the All-Star game. Other corporate leaders coming out against Georgia's election law, like Coca-Cola, United Airlines, Delta Airlines. Your reaction to some of the pushback that we're seeing?
You know, it's frustrating. I certainly wish some of those corporate CEOs would have read the bill. They would have seen that many of the issues that Georgia voters faced were in areas run by Democrats where they closed polling places, they closed precincts. It caused lines, it caused delays. And there are provisions in place in the bill that's in question that actually expands opportunities for Georgians to vote. But it gets back to what we've been arguing at the federal level, that our states and our localities are constitutionally responsible for running our elections. Now, my colleagues on the Democratic side of the aisle have voted for twice H.R. 1 that's now going to be billed as a voting rights bill when it's the furthest thing from a voting rights bill. It's a bill that would put upwards of $7.2 million into every member of Congress's own campaign.
You're talking about public financing of campaigns and elections?
I'm talking about the provisions in H.R. 1 that passed on a partisan roll call, and the only thing bipartisan about it was the Democrat who voted with every Republican against it. It's a travesty. And those are the types of issues that Democrats are focusing on in Washington, just like they're putting forth so many proposals and plans in a supposed infrastructure bill that have absolutely nothing to do with infrastructure. It's always hide what the true intention is. And the true intention of the voting rights bill at the federal level, H.R. 1, is to pad their own campaign coffers.
Congressman Quigley, I want to get you to respond to that allegation that it's just about padding your own campaign coffers.
Look, I think the premise of these laws that are being introduced across the country is based on a lie that there was some sort of massive fraud throughout the country. There wasn't. It was the big lie that was pushed by President Trump that helped create that insurrection. And they're using it to justify an action which absolutely isn't, its intention is to suppress. They didn't like the results, so they want to change the rules. We're talking about public finance of campaigns. That's a long discussed debate. I'd love to have that discussion at any point in time, but anytime we want to get rid of the dark money, anytime we want to put all of this on an equal footing where candidates go in there, I think that's far more democratic.
All right, a lot of things to get to. Unfortunately, I have to leave it there. Our thanks to Representative Mike Quigley, Raja Krishnamoorthi, and Rodney Davis. Thanks as always.